Welcome to Women Unleashed.
Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Women Unleashed. So today I've got Ellie back on my podcast. Hello.
Thank you for having me back.
For those who don't know you, Ellie, do you want to give us a little bit of a background on who you are and what you do?
Yep, of course. So I am a heartbreak and self-worth coach. And I won't go into too much detail because obviously we did in the last episode that we did together. But I help women overcome any form of past traumas, heartbreaks, low self-esteem, and just really building their confidence so they become, I like to call it, from feeling empty to empowered by the end of our working with me.
I love that. And you've helped me a lot as well. So Ellie's literally a great person to go to if you need help with any of these things. But can I just say, our last episode did so well, got so much positive feedback, and it absolutely blew up on Instagram.
I know. We've actually gone viral.
We've gone viral.
I love it.
What's funny about it is that it was like men versus women on that post.
And do you know what it is as well? Like, some of the men, you got two divides.
Yeah.
Some were like 100%, like there's no issue. I got married to the woman that I slept with on the first date. And then the next person, it's like, you need to read the Bible.
Literally, someone said you need to read the Bible. I was like, sorry, what? Somebody messaged me saying, can I have your father's details? I was like, listen, if I give you my dad's details, he'll probably support me, so.
And on that reel in particular, I didn't even give an opinion.
No,
It was
literally. People have to go watch the podcast to know the full thing. I was honestly howling. It was so funny. But I did get a lot of positive feedback from women who listened to that podcast, and they thought it was really, really helpful, you know, the advice that you gave and your points of view and everything else as well.
I love that.
So today I kind of wanted to get you on the podcast because I think the topic that I want to cover, which is how, you know, relationships, toxic relationships have an effect on our health. We've both been through it. We both see it. You see it amongst probably clients of yours. I see it amongst myself, my clients, friends, etc. So I thought it'd be really interesting to kind of touch on that.
Absolutely. It's a very hot topic, I suppose, because not a lot of people discuss how these toxic relationships affect people's health and like what you go through. And do you know what? When you're going through it at the time, you don't quite realise.
You don't see it.
Upon reflection, you're like, now I'm out of it and I feel good and I'm feeling back myself. You can actually start to feel healthy again.
Yeah, for sure. And it's not just, you know, romantic relationships, friendships as well. Huge thing that, you know, you can have these friends that really bring your energy down and make you ill effectively.
And I would say family members, because with friends, you don't have that guilt attached to if you were to let go of them. Whereas a family member, especially a very close family member, you're always holding on to that guilt to say, well, but it's my mom, it's my dad, it's my auntie.
That's giving me goosebumps. I've never thought about it in that way.
Yeah, you really hold on to that guilt of being able to let them go because they brought you into this world. Yet they could be the most toxic person in your life.
You don't realise that toxic people are toxic whilst they're in your life, because why do we like toxic people? Why are we so attracted to them? Because they're fun, they're outgoing, they're usually the life of the party, they're funny, and they don't appear toxic at the time, you know, because they're manipulating you and controlling you.
Exactly that. When it is relationships, it's like that thing that women are all attracted to, the most confident man in the room. Yeah. And the most confident man in the room can also be the most insecure. So they then would like you to be, or they pull you in, they draw you in, they win you over. And once they've got you, then their true colours start to show. Yeah. But you're in too far or in too deep with your feelings by that point.
Exactly, and it's hard to recognise, and then your health starts to deteriorate, because I think how our body responds to things like that, obviously if you're in this repetitive cycle of this toxic behaviour, no matter what it is, your body starts to show you through physical symptoms. Absolutely. Because there's no other way for your body to tell you. It's like, hang on, someone's treating you bad, someone's really like emotionally abusing you, or, you know, just controlling your life. Get out of it. But you're not going to listen to your friends, you're not going to listen to whoever else is telling you that. So your body is like, it's your intuition, I guess.
Yeah.
And everything else on that front.
It is, and it's also like, it's at that point that you can start to listen. But again, it's really difficult, because if you're, say, like one of the big problems that a lot of my listeners followers were telling me was stomach problems. That's something that I had and suffered with myself. But would I put that down to the fact that I'm in a toxic relationship or the people around me are causing this to happen for me? Absolutely not. I'm putting it down to the things that I'm eating or the environment that's changed, anything but the issue that is at hand. Whereas we need to start to listen to our bodies in a different way rather than just because we're told it could be food, it could be what we're eating, drinking. Or
tolerances, etc. But if you think about it, okay, your stomach, your gut is your second brain. Like as females especially, we have that mind-gut connection, that intuition. So it's telling us something is wrong. If you're constantly bloated, if you're constantly unwell with your stomach, like, and you actually eat quite well. I'm a prime example of this, actually. I am a prime example of this. I've had gut problems for a couple of years now, and I'm the healthiest person on planet Earth. I don't drink. I eat very, very clean, and I've still got these problems, you know? So it's the environment, it's the people around you, and I'm not just blaming relationships, friendships. I've had so many toxic friendships recently that I've had to cut out because they just weren't serving me. Exactly
that. And with your gut being your second brain, what do they call it? I'm not going to be a scientist here, but it's it's ENS, so eccentric nervous system. I think that's what they call it. And basically, what that is it's the chemicals that you receive to your brain. It's the connection.
Yep.
And so when that is off, that's when you start to develop not just stomach problems, but mental health problems and all of the anxiety that starts in your
depression's very much so linked to that. I think it's SIBO that's actually linked to depression and anxiety as well.
See, everything does happen in your stomach. And when I've ever been through, like I do angel healing sessions.
Yep.
And for me, it's all held, because I'm not very good at showing my emotions. Yeah. So it's all held for me in my stomach. And that's where I've developed IBS. And when I'm not stressed or when I'm happy, it's never there. But then the moment that I feel something's not right in my life, instantly stomach problem.
I couldn't agree with that more. Literally what you just said. I had a breathwork session the other week, which I obviously told you about anyway. But the guy that I did it with is one of my close friends as well. And he said everything's trapped in your stomach. Yes. All your problems are there. He's like, I can feel trauma there. I can feel anxiety there. You know, like he said, I feel very unsettled, not really grounded, which I'm not, because obviously I'm here, there and everywhere. And he was like, it's all in your stomach. So all these stomach problems that I'm having, yes, I'm trying to eat well, do whatever, heal. But if I'm not actually healing internally and working on all these problems, am I going to heal? Probably not.
No, exactly. And that's the thing. And it's just mad that we ignore what our body is telling us.
I was literally going to say that, the exact same phrase. You just took them words out of my mouth.
But it's true, we do. We're all guilty of it. But you just wouldn't ever put it down to the relationships that you're in or the people that you have around you, whether it's friends, family,
no,
or anything like that.
Exactly. And I put up a question box on Instagram, and I'm sure you did as well, because I thought I want to get experiences from other people, what other people say. I'll talk about mine, you can talk about yours. Yeah. But some of the things that girls were saying to me was I was passing out. Really bad skin. That was one that came up a lot. And you know, people are like, oh, it's just it's stress. Well, yeah, it's stress, but what is this stress stemming from? You know, a lot of skin problems and gut problems are linked to your surroundings, your relationships and everything else. I had girls telling me that they were emotionally eating a lot. Some were, you know, gaining loads and loads of weight. Some were losing a lot of weight. And it all, again, stemmed down to the same sort of thing.
So I put up the same question box that you did, and I received pretty much the same things. But a lot of ladies were also saying that they lost their hair.
I was going to say hair as well, gone grey. One girl said she got I'm grey, so I've got a little patch there, but one girl said she got a full head of grey hair.
It's crazy, isn't it? So hair loss, a lot of stomach problems, a lot of anxiety.
Yeah.
And one lady said that she'd gained 30 kilos of weight. She's been split up with her boyfriend now for 2 years, still can't lose a pound. She's eating well, she's gymming, but the stress is obviously still remaining within her body. And then the other hand of it is people losing so much weight, and that's me. Like,
I'm the opposite end.
oh really?
Yeah,
You're the
I
gaining
gain
weight.
it, but I think mine's just from pure inflammation. Not that I eat, because I don't eat a lot, do you know what I mean? I don't starve myself, nor do I eat a lot, I just eat normal, but it's just the inflammation in my body that I'm just like,
Yeah. Well, I know this is your podcast, but I actually want to ask you a question
Go
on
on.
that. So, the inflammation, not a lot of people talk about inflammation. And obviously, I suffer from inflammation, especially when I'm stressed, or if I'm stressing my body with too much exercise and all of those things.
Massive.
But I always put it down to, so when I'm seeing it on the scales, or when I'm seeing it in the clothes that I'm wearing, I'm confused, and I know a lot of other women will be confused, but I'm not eating a lot, I'm exercising all the time, yes, I'm getting bigger, but it's the inflammation, but not a lot of people speak about the inflammation, because I'm not sure a lot of people know.
Yeah, and you know what? I say that to a lot of my clients, because they'll be like, well, why is my weight going up? Like, why do I look so big, so puffy? I'm like, well, if your nutrition's on point, if you're exercising, you're doing everything you need to do, and everything else is fine, are you stressed? And 9 times out of 10, they will say, well, yeah, work's stressing me out a little bit, or, my partner's been stressing me out with the kids, whatever. Like, yes, they might seem like little stressors, but our bodies are so responsive to things like that they'll just blow up, hold water, retention, inflammation, because it's stress. Your cortisol's through the roof. So that's how our body responds, and people make it worse by then having coffee to keep them going when we're stressed, and that will obviously increase your cortisol and make it worse again. Another thing, when it comes to stress, is your cycle with females. Huge. And this is coming up more and more amongst my clients, and obviously myself. I had my cycle really regular, every 28 days. This time last year, when I was in a really happy place, I was really content, I looked well, I didn't look inflamed, I actually felt amazing. It was this time last year. And then September, when everything shit hit the fan basically, my cycle started to go like every 33 days. I was like, this is weird, because I was like religiously 28, 33 days, then 39, and then January I'd lost it. And I was like, hang on. And then I'd not had it for 3 months. Really? Yeah, and I was like, right, nothing's changed. I'm doing everything the same. If anything, I'm being healthier. I'm not drinking, because I stopped after the summer. Like, the healthiest I should be right now, and I'm not.
Interesting.
Mad.
Yeah. Because I know that from our last podcast, or was it my podcast that you came on, and I was talking about coming off the pill.
Yep.
Well, I actually did. I haven't even told you this.
Oh.
So I actually did come off the pill, and I have missed my cycle, and I feel it in my body.
Yeah. You will, but you know what? It'll take time for your body to adjust, because you've just been feeding your body hormones from the pill. So obviously it'll take time to adjust, but once you get it, you will feel so much better. But I feel the same. You just feel huge, don't you? Yeah. You feel all the water weight and everything else in your stomach, your arms, your face.
Everything.
Everything.
The only thing is my saving grace was I was dreading my skin having a flare up, and so far, touch wood, I haven't. But yeah. It is, and it's stress on your body. I was on the pill for 15 years. What is that doing to me to then come off? But instead of letting it instead of me beating myself up about it, and to all the women out there that are thinking of doing the same or going through the same with inflammation, stop beating yourself up about it, because the stress on that is going to make you hold the stress. Like, we are always changing, and it's okay to go through these patches. It doesn't feel great, trust me, but I know the other side of it. I'm hoping things will be better.
There will be, 100%. And something that a post that I saw the other day and I read, and I was like, wow, this is me. And it was like 10 signs that your body's telling you it's stressed without you thinking you're stressed, right? The first one was waking up with a puffy face in the morning. I wake up and my face is like a balloon. Like, my eyes are just so swollen, and I'm like, is it the heat? Am I hot? My aircon's on, surely not. Twitch your eyelids. You know when you get that little twitch in your eyelid every now and again? I always thought that was like low sugar. That's another reason. Brittle nails, obviously, hair falling out and thinning, another thing that I've got. Digestion problems, so IBS, bloating, constipation, all that sort of stuff. Reaching for caffeine, even when you think you don't need it. Because it's just like you're trying to replenish that.
Tired feeling.
Yeah. And when I put that question box up, and all the girls were coming back with all these things, and I spoke to quite a few of them, you know, back and forth, and I was like, well, are you out of that relationship now? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, well, how are you feeling now? And one of them was like, I'm fine. I had this massive eczema flare up. She was going to the doctors. It was all over her face. She even sent me pictures. It was all over her face, and the doctors were giving her all the creams in the world. Nothing was working. Then they said to her, it's stress. And she was like, well, okay, stress, but I'm not really stressed. Yeah. So how is it stressed? And then she came out of that relationship and her skin has cleared. Like she's got a beautiful, beautiful face. And before she had like big red patches all over her face.
It just does show. And another thing that kept coming up was insomnia. And that comes down to, especially, and this is toxic relationships I'm coming to. When you are in a toxic relationship and say they're out, or actually they don't even have to be out, you are overthinking their every next move. What they're doing, what they're thinking, am I good enough? What we're waking up to in the morning. So that is constantly on your mind, which means you're not sleeping. The moment you don't sleep, it has effect on your entire next day. But then the bedtime comes around again and the overthinking starts again, anxiety kicks in, insomnia starts, cycle.
And it's a vicious cycle. And if you're not getting good sleep, again, that's going to affect absolutely everything. Sleep is crucial. But that's actually made me think of my first ever relationship that I was in when I was younger. I was so insecure with him, like I didn't trust him. He'd go out and I'd be at home and I couldn't sleep. I'd be like on my phone, checking my phone all the time. Where is he? Checking social media. I'd text him, where are you? What are you doing? Like waking up at stupid times and he'd still not be home. I remember one time it was like 11 o'clock in the morning and he was still not home. I was like, where are you? Do you know what I mean? Like, where are you? And that's, I don't know whether that kind of started my whole stressful situation, you know? Like, things can take time to develop as well. And that was like the spark of it. Mm-hmm. But with that partner as well, and if you're a guy and you're listening to this, I don't know how many guys listen to this, you might want to skip this part because it might not be very relevant to you or not. Yeah, I don't care. I'm going to say it anyway because I know a few of my clients that I've spoke to about this. Getting yeast infections, recurrent yeast infections with a partner that you are with.
I want to touch on that in a different sense.
Literally, when I was younger, I kept getting yeast infections. And that's your body just rejecting that partner.
That's what I was going to say, yeah, exactly.
Rejecting that partner, like, we don't like this. Like, this person is no good for you. And some of my clients are like, yeah, I get one every month. And I'm like, that is not normal. You should not be getting that.
I did research on this, and I'm not going to go into the scientifics because I can't remember. But it's a fact. So what we're talking about now in terms of, like, stress having an impact on stomach issues and all of those things, it's your body telling you no. Yep. Recurring yeast infections or BV, or just it hurting after sex every single time with the same partner is your body telling you that partner's not right for you.
Mad, isn't it?
But nobody would ever, people couldn't turn around in your relationship and be like, well, I'm ending it because my body says no. But you should. Yeah, so you genuinely. Should. And I have had relationships. I'm going to say something that I shouldn't.
Say it.
So, like, my ex, like the one that I was with that broke my heart and all of those things, I used to get recurring yeast infections with him all the time. But in my head, our relationship was pretty much perfect. Yeah.
And you think that?
So, like, I'm not going to end my relationship because it hurts when I have sex. Yeah. Like, I can't. But now, upon reflection, and I think that might have been actually when I started researching it, because I'd had a couple of partners, like exes, where that was the case. Yeah. And then as soon as I'm not in that relationship, I've never had a yeast infection since I ended that relationship.
Yeah, it's mental.
I didn't end it, but do you know what I mean? Yeah. I've never had one since.
It's crazy. Your body just knows. I think female bodies, I'm not trying to say male bodies aren't amazing, but our female bodies we're more in tune with everything, and, you know, the things that our bodies can do are absolutely insane. Yeah. So if your body is telling you no, listen to it, because you're going to go years down the line and your health will get worse. Like, if you're going through stress now and your hair's falling out now, you might end up bald by the end of it. Do you know what I mean? That was my biggest worry. I was like, my hair's falling. It's been falling out for God knows how long. We're left with no hair.
Exactly. And that came up a lot when I put that question box out. And again, because another thing is obviously when you're not eating right. So for me, I lose my appetite completely. And that's more in heartbreak, but also toxic relationships. But during that heartbreak phase, like I was 10 kilos lighter than I am now
Jesus.
in 4 weeks.
That's crazy. That's really unhealthy weight loss.
Unhealthy weight loss, but of course that's going to have an effect on my hair.
Yeah, everything.
Everything. And I remember I went for my annual full body health check around that time, and you get to see a cardiologist, you get to see, oh God, I could tell you another story. I'm really outing myself.
Go on.
Oh God, right. But first, and you get to see a dietitian and all of those things. So the dietitian sat me down and she's like, so what are you eating within a day? And I couldn't tell her, because I was not even eating one meal a day. Like I genuinely, it was just tough. My anxiety was through the roof. I felt sick from the moment I woke up to the moment I went to sleep. So I wasn't getting anything in. So then she sat me down and she was like, right, you need to tell me what's going on.
Yeah.
Because she thought I had an eating disorder.
Yeah.
And I genuinely didn't. It was just what I was going through.
Oh, yeah, the tough times. And I mean, when I get anxiety, I don't want to eat then.
No. Of course.
Last thing on my mind. Do you know what used to happen all the time with my ex-ex, my first ever boyfriend? It was always, it's like he sensed that I was about to eat, and then he'd text me something that would give me anxiety, so I wouldn't eat. And I was probably looking forward to the meal. Yeah, I was like about to have something nice, and text me, and I was like, stomach gone straight. I was like, I ain't having that to eat.
It's crazy, isn't it? But the thing is as well, like I always laugh about the breakup diet because it's the best diet that I've ever been on, but it's just the unhealthy way, and so many people go through it. But the other end of that is that people can overeat.
Oh yeah,
so
emotional
eating, and the only time that I emotionally eat is in different circumstances of stress. So if work's stressing me, or like someone in my family's in hospital, that is when I'll overeat, and I can't stop, and all I want is chocolate and sweets. I don't want anything else. But then the moment a heartbreak comes in, or I'm stressed within a relationship,
more the anxiety side of things, I think.
You can't eat.
Yeah. So tell me the cardiologist story. What came into your head then?
This is really outing me, because I don't actually like telling this story. But at the time, obviously, through the full body health check, they also check everything, heart, whatever. So they put me on an ECG. My ECG came back off. So then they put me on a stress test ECG that came.
Was this around the time that you'd split up with your?
Yeah. So when I was going for a heartbreak.
Broken. Your heart was actually broken.
Right, it gets worse. So they put me on this stress test, and I was probably about 6-7 weeks into the breakup actually. Anyways, and so then the cardiologist asked me to come back and do an ultrasound of my heart. Couldn't find anything wrong with me. So then he was laughing at me, and he took me into the room and he said, look, are you going through anything right now like a heartbreak? And I was like, yeah, I am. And I'm really struggling with it. He was like, oh, that makes all sense now.
Stop.
Heartbreak syndrome is a thing. It's a temporary heart condition.
Oh, goosebumps again.
I know. Temporary heart condition that is because you're putting so much stress on your heart through the emotions. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a breakup, but it can be anything from grief to just being a highly emotional person, but it's temporary.
Absolutely crazy.
Like, are you telling me I've officially got a broken heart? And I burst out laughing. He went, it's not funny. I was like, it's embarrassing. That's what that is.
No, that's actually amazing. That's not embarrassing. That's
yeah.
Literally, it's another example of how your body is responsive to what you're actually going through.
Exactly. We need to listen to our bodies. So it kind of made me feel at edge, because at some days during that time, Dominica, I remember I literally thought I was having a heart attack. Like, I just couldn't get my anxiety under control. And so they tell you to meditate and all of those things. And obviously I was doing it, but just I'd start breathing normally again, and I'd be like, my heart was racing to the point I couldn't breathe.
It's like when I was literally sat just doing work and my heart rate was like 110 beats per minute.
Yeah.
It's meant to be like 50, 60 for a healthy person. It was like double.
Yep.
It's just anxiety. I could feel it and I felt instantly sick. Awful. But right, going back to the toxic relationships, let's talk about and explain to people what we mean by toxic. Because people might be like, okay, well, how do I know that I'm in a toxic relationship?
Toxic relationship can be anything from the emotional abuse to obviously physical abuse. Now, the physical abuse is quite obviously you know that you're in a toxic relationship if that's the case. The emotional side can be over time, and it can be anything from somebody that's overly jealous, who tries to control you in any way, and that's from what you're wearing to how much time you're spending with your friends to going out.
Narcissistic traits.
But they all come under the narcissistic traits. So narcissistic traits, which is obviously
Gaslighting.
and the gaslighting. But going back to narcissistic traits, one of those can be they just care about themselves. And so your feelings and your emotions don't really matter. And obviously a lot of that comes under the control again, and they will go and do, it's one rule for them and another rule for someone else. The problem that I have with saying the word narcissistic is because it gets labelled to far too many people.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Without it actually being the definition of them. However, I was listening to a podcast a few weeks ago on it. 1 in 4 people are a narcissist.
Doesn't surprise me.
Well, it did surprise me because so many people talk about it, but no one can ever really quite diagnose someone as narcissistic. But 1 in 4
That's a lot.
That's a lot, and it explains a lot.
I think if we'd have done this research years and years ago, I don't think that'd have been the case. I think things are getting worse with our generation. I'm not going to lie. I think generations are getting worse.
Yeah.
The emotional side of things and the emotional abuse and the traumas, because people aren't aware. Mind you, I'm saying that. I think people are getting a little bit better at it now, but I think there was a big gap where, from our parents, for example, from them, there was none of that.
The only other thing is that maybe we can define and put the statistics in place now is because that we, as a generation, are so much more in tune with emotions, talking about feelings and all of those things.
But the word narcissist has only just recently started flying about.
I know, and so many people use it, and that's why I get a bit concerned with using it, because I'm like, you could say something to me and I could say that's narcissistic, but does that mean the person you're with is a narcissist?
Yeah.
So it's very different. But yeah, the 1 in 4, it really shocked me.
That is mad.
And did you know, now this one really, really shocked me, that once you are officially diagnosed as a narcissist, there is no amount of therapy, there is no amount of medication, you can be on medication to be a narcissist, but there is nothing you can do to change it.
No.
As a person. So if you get diagnosed as a narcissist, that is you.
Wow.
So when we, as women, and I'm going to say this as women, but we like to try and change men, and we think that we are going to be the person that's going to change them and they're going to fall in love with us. If they are not necessarily diagnosed, but if they are a narcissist, there's nothing you can do.
No, keep trying and keep failing and getting yourself more and more ill.
And getting yourself more and more sick.
Literally. Okay, so that's the relationships. What about toxic family members?
So toxic family members is, again, it comes down to how you feel that they're treating you. Maybe they could be
putting you down,
you're never feeling good enough. And when you don't feel good enough to your own family, it affects everything you do, because you're always trying to live up to being good enough for them. And if you can go, well, if my own mum or my own dad doesn't love me or see that I'm good enough, how is anyone else going to see that?
And you're always striving to try and be better and better, and you're never satisfied. So you're never actually going to be happy within yourself either.
Exactly.
And then if you want to bring happiness to somebody else,
you can't. Because you can't. When you're not happy within yourself and you're always trying to make somebody else feel proud, i.e. your mum and dad, your partner gets pushed to the side anyway, because that's not the main person that you want to make.
Yeah, you're always trying to impress your parents rather than anyone else. Yeah, of course. I get that with the family side of things, and I do know a few people who are like that as well.
Yeah,
it's tough. It is tough because, like friends, like you said, you can cut them off. You know, family members, yeah, you can, but it's hard.
It's hard because as well, then when things like Mother's Day or Father's Day come around and your parents are still alive and you did have a relationship with them, but you've chosen to cut them off because you know they're no good for you. At all of those celebrations, when you get married or your birthday, and everyone else is posting their parents, it will instantly you think, should I reach out? Do they deserve a place in my life? And it's a tough battle that you have to have, probably week in, week out, year in, year out. But ultimately, if they are toxic and you feel that they do bring you down, there is no place for them in your life. You don't need to keep anyone in your life just because they are blood related.
Blood related, exactly. That's all it is, you know. And you go and you build your own family.
Exactly.
If you want one, that is. Obviously, not everybody does, but you need to protect your own energy and your own health and your own mental well-being.
Absolutely.
For that sake.
And as the saying goes, you can't choose your family, but you can choose your friends. So if I was in that situation, I would try and cut everybody out that was toxic to me, but I would choose my friends that have become family.
Yeah, exactly. Build your own. What about toxic friends then?
Toxic friends are probably the ones that don't prioritize you, want to be the kind of ringleader, and you feel that you can't have an opinion, or you feel like you can't be a certain way in case they judge you in a certain way, or they're going to push you out, or one minute you're part of the group, the next minute you're not. Like, that's the kind of toxic friendship that you don't want. And somebody that's always, I don't know if this is toxic, but really draining for me, is when they're constantly coming to you with never-ending problems that they don't want help to resolve. They just want to stay in that victim mindset. It's so draining.
Is to keep listening to
to
that.
keep going on and on, like, especially if you're someone that wants different things in life, or you want to go on to be a certain way or a certain person, or you just want to be positive. Like, obviously you want your friends to be able to come to you, but it's the continuous, that continuous victim mindset when they don't want help otherwise, or they don't want to hear it, they just want you to listen and be drained. That is what I would class as a toxic friendship.
And those that bring you down and never have anything positive to say as well.
Yeah.
You know, or don't congratulate you if you do well.
Yes, that's a big one, actually.
That's really toxic. Like, your friends should want you to do well. Your friends should be happy for you. And if you get those friends that are just sat there and they're not saying a word, or they're trying to dampen you whilst you're on a high, then it's like, are you really my friend? That's just toxic behaviour.
100%. And it's like, that's when you reevaluate. Do you want them people in your life? Because ultimately, your celebration will then be dampened by them continuously, or you'll second guess yourself.
Yeah.
I always say, surround yourself with the most positive people, and your friends you can choose. I don't care if you've been friends with them for 15, 20 years. I have let go of people that I have been friends with from when I was 4 years old up until a few years ago.
Yep.
And the reason is because they wasn't bringing any value to my life other than bringing me down, or constantly coming with drama, and I have a drama-free life. So, yes, it's tough to walk away from them friends because you think, well, it's a waste of all them years. But it's not. They served a purpose in your life.
Exactly, at the time.
Yeah.
Like anyone.
Absolutely. And you are able to move forward, bringing in other people and stick. Like, I've still got friends that I've been friends with from primary school that will always probably stay my friend because we're on the same path. We value the same things.
And I think one thing that I want to add to that is friends who are very two-faced. Now, I think this is massive, yeah? I think there are so many people out there that are two-faced, and people might be like, oh, it's just how people are. It's not, right? If my best friends or my close friends, I would never say a bad word about them to somebody else, ever. If somebody speaks badly of them, I'll, like, call them up on it, you know? If you're coming to me speaking about one of my friends or one of your best friends, and you're bitching to me about them, I just think, right, that's not healthy. That's really toxic. If they're meant to be a really good friend, so when you're talking to me, what are you going to be saying about me? And them people you want out of your life as well, they are so toxic, and they will cause you anxiety and stress, and you never know what they're going to say.
And you can't trust them.
No.
And also, it brings down the dynamic of the group. Just because if you've got a few people that, or one person that's like that, say like a ringleader kind of person, and they are picking and choosing who's their favourite of the time, it just brings, you're just always on edge.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I don't know why this is just well, it's not off topic, it's in topic with the conversation. But I was just thinking about like illnesses and how they develop from the stresses that are affecting us in the situations that we're in, right? So what I was reading up about is thyroid, because obviously I had an underactive thyroid, and your thyroid is your throat chakra, right? And that's about speaking up and not saying what you think and just keeping things to yourself. And I am like, that was literally me. Because I couldn't be bothered with drama with people, I just wouldn't say anything. I'd just listen to what they say, be like, yeah, whatever. And I did that for years and years and years with my first ever boyfriend, like, because I thought he was older than me, I was younger, I feel like I had no leg to stand on, do you know what I mean? And I just never said what I thought. Whereas now I'm very outspoken. I will just say what I think. And I've healed my thyroid.
I was just about to say that. And how's your
Yeah,
thyroid now?
my thyroid is better because I'm actually speaking up and thinking saying what I think.
Yep. And it just shows, like, growing as a person, you can also heal yourself and any of your health issues. Like, I'm going to have to get my phone up here because one of the girls sent me something really on topic to that.
Tell me. I'm intrigued. I've got quite a... By the way, it's 444, 1444.
Oh,
angel numbers. Me and Ellie are really into this spiritual angel world.
Literally, we send it to each other all the time. So, one of the girls was in a toxic relationship. Mm-hmm. She lost 2.5 stone, was hospitalized twice due to stomach issues, not being able to eat, ended up with severe depression, couldn't leave the house, extreme anxiety and insomnia, couldn't sleep, being up hours overthinking, stressing, checking social media. Her hair started to fall out, and then she ended up with social anxiety.
Okay.
Now, the other side of that, so then I got into a conversation with her, and I was like, so how is things now? What are you like as a person now?
How long is she out of the relationship, do you know?
I didn't ask that question, actually. Good question, should have asked. But now she's like, I don't suffer from any of those things. And she couldn't drink because she used to then get anxiety and all of those things. And as time goes on, you can literally, you feel like your lowest low and you're like, I'm never going to recover from this. How am I going to then start to eat normally again? Or is my hair ever going to grow back? Am I ever going to get rid of that anxiety? Insomnia as well, the worst.
I never had anxiety, right, ever, until my first ever relationship. So my boyfriend caused me to have anxiety. I didn't even know what it was. I did not have a clue. Yeah. And then I started to experiencing all these feelings, and I went to the doctors and I started Googling. I was like, what is this? And I was like, anxiety. Never had it. Yeah. Like, I'm never stressed about anything in life, but men in relationships, clearly.
No, right. I'm not even joking you. I have zero stress in my life, zero, until I get into a relationship.
Yeah, me too.
Like, and then all my problems start to happen. And it's not, like, obviously I've been in secure relationships where, go out, enjoy yourself, give me peace. Like, that's when I'm in a secure place and I can trust them fully. Yeah. But take my toxic relationship, it was just hell on earth. Like, the one time I didn't go out with him because I was moving house, he went and cheated on me.
Mental. And it's like you have to be by his side.
Yeah.
You can't leave him for 2 minutes.
How can you go to a brunch and do that and then...
It's absolutely insane.
It's just crazy. So, but the feelings that you have, like the constant worrying, the constant... It's not even when they're going out. It's like, are they messaging someone else? Yep. He was very much still kind of involved with his ex 1 minute, the next, like, is she still in touch?
The overthinking, it's just mentally draining, mentally and physically draining on your body. Like, toxic relationships relationships, family, friends, romantic partners, whatever it is, they are going to have a massive impact on your health, like, whether you like it or you don't. So I would say the best thing to do is start recognising it. If you have all these illnesses or all these symptoms that you just can't pinpoint as to why things are happening, have a look into your relationships. Have a look at the people around you.
Absolutely. That will be a very big key factor. It can also be work colleagues.
Yeah.
That's another thing that we didn't
touch on.
Bosses. A toxic boss. I had a toxic boss. It was like Devil's Wear Prada. My very first job, I'm not joking you, it was like Devil's Wear Prada. And we were in this office block where you could hear if she was walking through the corridor, right? So I used to have to listen out for her heels to be walking towards the lift, for me to go in time to get her coffee, to have it waiting on the desk ready for when she came.
That's just like anxiety. That's like association. If I would hear them footsteps, that would give me instant anxiety.
Instant. Mm-hmm.
Do you know, I used to, going back to that association thing, I used to have my ex-boyfriends, text tone is a certain tone, so I knew it was him. Yeah. It was all well and good, fine, I used to get really excited until things went west, right? until things went west and me and him just weren't good anymore and whatever. So whenever I'd hear that, it'd set my anxiety off straight away. So I just put my phone on silent so I didn't know.
Yeah.
And then when I'd be out and about and somebody had that tone, straight away my anxiety would be set off just because of the association. Just crazy.
Exactly. It is. It's just crazy. And one thing, actually, going back to the work thing, is a toxic work environment is probably one of the biggest causes of stress and will have the biggest impact on you, because it is something that is not so easy to get out of until you find another job, somewhere that you have to spend 80% of your day. And you have to wake up with the dreaded feeling of, I haven't got a choice.
I've got to go to work.
Yeah.
I need the money to live. Yeah, of course.
This is my only option today. Whereas if you wanted to take a break from a friend or a family member, or potentially a partner, you've got work to go to, or you can escape in some way. Work you can't. And thank God, I suppose a saving grace for a lot of people would be now that you can work from home. But if you, back in the day when you had to be in the office 9 to 5 with somebody, or 9 to 6, with an environment that you don't get on, or work colleagues that you don't get on, but you get on with your boss, like, it just is so difficult.
That was me when I was nursing towards the end of it in COVID. In the pandemic, like towards the end, I was just had enough. I was waking up and I was like, I don't want to go in. I don't want to see everybody. Everyone's always arguing. There's tension. Like, nobody wants to do anything. We're all falling out. There's bitching. I was like, I don't want to do this. I'd go in and just sit there and not talk to anyone. Like, I couldn't think straight. And, you know, dealing with kids, it was, little babies, you had to be on the ball. And I was like, I can't even think straight. So it was awful. It was that dreaded moment of 5 o'clock in the morning, my alarm goes off. I'm like, I don't want to do this.
Exactly.
I'm so grateful for my job right now and what I do, because I'm my own boss. I don't have to... Well, I have to speak to my clients, but I love my clients, so that's fine. I love what I do. But yeah, the toxic workplace is just not...
Touching on, obviously, because we love our spirituality things, like, obviously, I've just got back from being at home. I spent a lot of time in the hospital. My dad was in there, so I was in there literally from 9 a.m. till 6 p.m. That environment alone, energetically, is the most negative I have ever felt on a day-to-day ever. Like, I would walk into that place, instantly I'm tense. Because obviously you've got sick people all around, and the NHS at the moment is completely shot it. It's completely so busy. But still, it's just energetically, the hospital environment is draining. So I used to say to the nurses in there, I was like, hats off to you, not for what you do on a day-to-day, that is obviously amazing, but just to be associated in the environment. My friend, who's not a nurse, but she works, or not a doctor, she works in the hospital. I went and met her for a coffee when I was there, and I was like, how do you do this day in, day out? How do you surround yourself in this environment? I am stressed, and I've got nothing really to stress about, but I am stressed just from being here.
Yeah, it is, and the energy around you as well. Like, even like your family members, you might think, oh, I've not got a toxic relationship with them, but if their energy is draining, it drains you.
Love you, Dad, but your energy, it's draining.
Yeah, and it does, and relationships as well. I've had that where somebody's in a bad mood, and then it has an effect on my mood.
Oh, wow. And I think that affects people that are most in tune with their energies as well. So that is, for me, I can witness it in a room.
Yeah, me too.
And I feel it.
Spot energy like from a mile away, and I can sense it and I can feel it. And I don't really like to, take other people's energy, so I don't like their energy to affect me. But if somebody really close to me, it will affect my energy. And that's something that I need to work on myself, because I'm very easily influenced by other people's energy.
Yeah, but it's really tough to work on. Like when I'm doing it on a one-to-one with clients, for some reason, because obviously they're coming to me and they're not feeling great. And so I do that day in, day out, and I don't really let their energy affect me.
Well, no, I guess with clients I'm the same.
It's just friends and family, because all I want in life is for them to be happy. So if they're not, it's like I can feel it off, even if they're in a bad mood. But yeah, it is tough.
I feel like this podcast has been very insightful.
Covered a lot.
We've covered a lot.
I've just thought of one other symptom that I haven't, and I suffer from this badly. Headaches.
Headaches, yeah?
One of the biggest ways that it affects my health, any form of stress or emotions, anything, I get the worst headache.
Yeah, and that is what most people get. Stress headaches as well. And they're just like, I've got a headache. I'm like, okay, well, are you people are like, oh, I don't know if I've drank enough. I'm like, okay, water's one factor, but are you stressed? Yeah. Stress actually is scientifically proven to destroy your gut more than antibiotics.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
It's crazy. Yeah. Like, it just eats you alive in every way, shape or form. So if you don't control it, you actually, I can't remember what the exact statistics were, but if you're somebody that goes through a lot of stress, you are more likely to get Alzheimer's a lot quicker. And dementia.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I was like, I need to get rid of my
I'm
stress.
stress-free.
That's good. That's good.
Like,
you need
no,
to be
you
like,
can't
no.
have that.
Yeah. And I was like, that's actually really serious. Really,
And
really
it makes
serious.
sense, really, to be honest.
Yeah. So, yeah, I feel like this episode has been about stress and toxic relationships that affect you because they cause you stress. So it all links.
It all links. And just everything, emotions, breakups, like all of that have such an effect on your health.
Yeah, so if people are going through this, then they need to do what, Ellie?
If you're going through this, or if you're having symptoms that are affecting your health, consider the relationships you're in. So, like, obviously, a breakup is going to have an effect on you, and you can probably say, okay, this is affecting my health, and it's temporary. But then if you are having someone that's suffering from constant headaches, anxiety, stomach problems, hair loss, all of the things that we've discussed, then just take a step back for a minute and reevaluate every relationship in your life. It doesn't necessarily need to be your partner, but that is where you can say, okay.
Open your eyes and have a look.
And is it someone that you want to have a conversation with, or is it someone that you want to slowly eliminate? It doesn't have to be that you have this big argument. You can just slowly drift apart from a friend that's toxic or a family member that's toxic.
Distance yourself. Exactly. Well, thank you very much for this insightful conversation. I will link all your stuff in the show notes again, your Instagram and everything else. You're at Tend, aren't you, on Instagram?
I am, and let's hope we go viral again.
I know.
I've loved this one.
I know, it's been great. So thank you so much for coming on, Ellie, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.